Get back to work.
What?
Get back to work.
Oh, okay, boss lady. I'll get back to work. All right, so we're gonna be working on another project here today. Building another little goat shanty, which we've built a few of these, and they're always a little different. But we've always built them based off of some pallet that we already have. We went and got a free pallet, and then we just built walls on top of it. So today I'm actually going to try to build one with a little bit more planning. I'm going to build my own pallet type of base. I've got some 1x here. None of this is treated, so I know it's not going to last forever, but it's going to last me a couple years anyway. But I've got some 1x's here, some spares on the forks there, and we're going to build a 4-foot by 8-foot house. And the idea is that it'll be big enough to house, 4 to 5 goats, and also be able to hang their feed bag, or have their feed trough and have their hay bag all inside of it, so we don't have to worry about stuff being outside and getting rained on. So I've just got these first two 8-foot boards that are gonna be the bottom, and I've got some 4-foot. They're actually like 1 1/4 by 6 inch, so basically 2x6s that are gonna be runners, and then I've got a bunch more 1x's that are gonna make the floor decking. So I want to get the floor decking done, and then I've got some 2x4s rolled up in here, as well as some more 1x6s, but hopefully enough 2x4s that I can put some walls and a back put on it. And then we're just going to do sheet metal for the walls and the roof. We're going to do all sheet metal versus trying to do a bunch of flat 1x's like we've done before. We've got the metal, we're going to use it up, and it'll save me some time on the sawmill. So anyway, let me get some framing work done on it here to kind of get it started, and then we'll just show you as the progression goes. Okay, so we've got the first main part of the floor frame done. Just 2 tie boards on the bottom. Got a whole bunch of shiners on the far end there. And then a solid deck on the top, which these pine logs are, 1.5 years old, that they've been laying on the ground as logs, but already there's some punky spots where it wants to rot out, but we can just patch that up with scabs later. It's no big deal. But of course, it's heavy, and I'm going to try to do this on my own, if nothing else, just so I can tell my wife that I did. But I got a little trick, something I learned from the Romans or somebody like that. A little piece of pipe. That's all it takes. Makes a world of difference. It gets the weight of this board from dragging. See there, I drug it and skidded it, and now we're going to get it rolling on this little pipe. And if the pipe stops rolling, the pipe is still slick itself, so the floor frame will slide on top of it a lot better than how it'll drag in the dirt. So I'm going to try to set my camera down here. Whoop, whoop. My pipe's not rolling. My pipe's wanting to slide. There we go. Yeah, that's not too bad. Okay, we got it drug in here. I went and got a bigger piece of pipe, which I knew would be better. I just couldn't find it the first time. That's why I went with that little piece of 3/4. Actually, it's half. But I got this 1.25 inch tube off my shop vac, and that worked just fine. The only real difficult part, actually it was easier than I thought it'd be, was coming right here through this corner of the gate, because I had to come around and swing it around here. But since I was able to open that gate and swing it into that alley, that actually let me bring the back end of it around a lot easier and pretty well slide it straight in here. So I was able to wrestle it in here by myself. We've got it stood up over there. I'm not sure if that's where the wife's going to want it. It kind of made sense to me to put it there, but I don't know. So I need to go check with her. Yeah, no, it's going to go there. It's going to go there because if you put it against this wall, then when you walk in the pen, then you run right into it. And if you put it against that fence, then the front is going to face to the west, and in the afternoon we get a pretty hard beating sun that would be right in there, and they would have no protection. So we're going to put it against this wall. That way they've got shade inside the barn, and they can lay on the end of it out there around the tree, and would have some shade from the sun too. So yeah, it's going to go there. I just got to decide if I want to put it right smack up against the fence, or if I want to kind of center it up. But I think I'll just put it right up against the fence and make it easiest. Just, yeah. Yeah, right up against the fence in the corner. That's going to be it. So this is part 2 on the new goat house. This will be the back wall. You can see it looks just like a big pallet. The only thing we've done special here is we put these slats on here really just as a little bit of racking support. Hopefully this is enough that I can get it moved into place without it flexing too much. That's really the only reason they're on there, and it'll give us something to nail the sheet metal to. The sheet metal is in pieces 2 feet wide, or at least it gives you coverage of 2 feet. It's actually 26 inches wide, I think, something like that. 26, 27, something like that. 26, I think, gives you an inch of overlap on both sides. Anyway, 25 inches, I don't know, whatever. 24 inches of coverage. So 8 feet, should use 4 pieces. The idea is to go ahead and get the metal nailed on here, and then stand this whole thing up, carry it in, bang, 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 nail it down to the floor frame and your back walls up. Because of where we put the house, right up against that fence, I won't be able to go through and nail the metal on once the wall frame is in place without dragging the whole house out. It's going to be too heavy for us to move it. Once it's assembled, we won't be able to move it out. So got to kind of assemble each wall section, metal and all, here on the ground, and then carry it into place, carry it over there, and just zip it into place. Probably screws so we can take it apart and move it later. We'll do all the primary framing is nailing, and then just attaching it all together will be screws. That's the plan. So this is part 2. Get some metal on here and get it put up on the floor frame. Okay, so next step on this little back wall here, prefab wall, whatever you want to call it, we're gonna get our metal put on. I've just got some rubber gasket roofing nails with a rubber washer, a neoprene washer. And again, we're not too worried about watertight on this structure, especially since this is going to be a back wall. It should pretty much shed water anyway. But you can see we've got some damage on it here. Obviously we've got rips, we've got old nail holes. This is metal that came off the lean-to at my in-laws' place when that tree knocked it down. But what we're going to do, because we've got a 6-inch floor frame, I'm going to let this metal hang over a couple inches. This is the bottom. So I'm going to let it hang over 4 inches. So you can see there's 4 right there, give or take. 4 inches. And then on the top edge, there's going to be joists sitting on that top edge. So I'm going to shave the metal off just flush with that top edge. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go ahead and nail all the metal on all the way across. And then I'm just going to grab my circular saw over there with a metal blade in it and just zip right across the top and cut all the top flush. So I'm going to get this nailed on and cut off, and then I think it should be ready to go throw up on the barn. So yeah, that works out pretty well. I only had 3 sheets of the 8-foot long metal over here, and it only has to be 44 inches on the frame and then 4 inches on the bottom, so 48 basically. I only had 3 sheets, so I had to nail on the first 3 and then go ahead and cut them, and now I'm going to put on our last one here. You can see it's nothing complicated about it. It's going to be pretty close. I can make it work. This stuff's flimsy enough that you can kind of bend it where you need it to be. And my corners are going to be exposed, I guess. I don't have any corner trim, and I really don't care that much. Again, I wouldn't be able to put it on anyway. Since I'm building this in place, I can't get in that corner of the panel. So my corners will be exposed, but I'll bring the metal right up to them. So hopefully it won't be a big deal. But anyway, let's get this last piece nailed on, and then we'll get this sucker drug in there in the pin and see if we can't get it nailed up in place. Okay, so we got, it's going to be the framing layout for the end wall. Got 44 on bottom, 41.5 is the back, 44.5 is the front. No, sorry, 45 is the front, and 44.5 is going to be the angled top rail. So
Get back to work.
What?
Get back to work.
Oh, okay, boss lady, I'll get back to work. Okay, got the first end wall put up, and you can see I did not trim off the excess metal here, and it should be because I'm going to put 2x4 rafters up on edge, and basically they'll come up right. That extra metal will just cover over the rafters. On this end here, the rafter will be exposed, but I'm not too worried about it. I'm not trimming up anything on this thing. It's already overbuilt for what it is, but I just wasn't going to go to the effort of trying to make every little perfect cut on it to make sure all the metal overlaps correctly. But the important thing about this is I'm building it all, outside the goat pen and carried in piece by piece, and I'm doing that as a matter of discipline to make sure that it's all modular when I go to take it back apart. So this little end wall was all built outside, and then I've just got a couple of screws there and one down there in the corner, and there's one right there that holds this wall to the back wall, just to help hold it up for right now. So that's all there is as far as holding that wall to this frame for now. And of course, when I'll put a header on the front here, that'll tie it together as well. And then the metal out here, I've got this nail here and this nail here that are actually nailed into the back wall and not the side wall. And those probably really weren't necessary, but I just did that because that metal sticks over, so that helps reinforce it. Keeps, ideally, a goat doesn't get back there in that corner and, hook her paw behind it or do something stupid and get herself cut. So could probably stand to use another couple nails going through here, just where that's not a very good overlap. This stuff, despite having a common contour, it doesn't seem to want to lay together very good, but I think it's just because it's so bent up. It's all dented and messed up. Anyway, that's it for the first end wall. So yeah, if I ever go to move this thing out, back those screws out, pull a couple nails, and have a mostly intact wall section, and not have to tear the whole thing apart when we rebuild. The roof is on, and that was no easy task. I'm still panting and wheezing from it, but it's mostly just because I decided to be a tough guy and do it all on my own. But I had to get it stood up here in front, basically with the metal against the face here, and then flip the whole thing up over my head. Now the good thing is that it was heavy, but it's light enough that I could do that. That roof on that long shanty over there is actually significantly smaller than this one, but it's a way overbuilt pallet, so it was impossible to move by myself. It was hard to move with two men. Anyway, so the roof's just set on here for tonight. I haven't anchored it down, but all I'm going to do to anchor it down is I'll put a couple screws through this sill plate into the bottom of the joist there, and I'll have to put a couple toenail screws basically through, somewhere through this front beam into those joists, or rafters, whatever you want to call them. This metal I left hang over on purpose. I'm going to fold that down and nail it, and that'll give me a little bit of extra rain protection. It may not quite give me, it's not going to give a true overlap there, but it's going to give a little bit of rain protection on the side of that outer rafter. I did that on both sides, and it'll keep there from being this corner sticking out into the alleyway. I was afraid if I tried to trim it flush, if I tried to trim it flush, it would definitely have water run all down inside here, inside the wall. So I was like, well, if I leave it stick over at all, then I need to leave it stick over enough that I can fold it down and just tap a couple nails through it just to hold it in place. But this back will stay open for better ventilation. They've got 3 solid walls to block the wind. It's facing to the south, so if we do get a significant wind out of the south, well, we won't anyway, because there's all tree line in there, so we won't ever get any strong winds out of the south anyway. So yeah, Newest, latest, and greatest goat shanty is done, and I'm happy to say that I actually built this one to be as modular as possible. Everything else has always been built in place, but this one is built in 5 main components. You've got the floor frame, which is pretty heavy. You've got each of the wall sections and the roof frame. This main front beam, I guess, is technically a section by itself, but those 4 screws pulls that out. Anyway, I'm going to get some hay and some pellet in here, and little Miss Harriet is going to sleep outside tonight so we can finally get these stinking goats out of the barn. Yippee!